Bismillah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back again to my video. And in this tutorial, I want to share you knowledge how to connect Cisco devices using the service Telnet and SSH. So this is a service it use like if you don't have like a console cable, or maybe you don't have like serial cable connect to router from PC, we can to use this method to connect the Cisco CLI using the Ethernet cable and connect to the router with using service like Telnet and SSH. Okay, for this time we practice in the real device, so let's get started. Okay, so this is the device that you want to use for this session. This is a Cisco 1841, which is a router network device. And now we need to do is get started to add configuration, Telnet and SSH. So we need to do is like have the two cables for this session. Now we have the two cables. For the first cable, we use the console cable or serial cable, so which is the cables with the color blue and has the port RG45 into USB. So I use USB, yeah. And the second is Ethernet cable. It's RG45 Ethernet. So this cable will be used when we have the configuration Telnet and SSH. Okay, so because this router doesn't have any configuration or doesn't have any like Telnet and SSH service configuration, so now we probably need use the console cable for this time. Okay, so to connect it, first we connect this RG45 cable into the console port, and now in the USB we connect into the laptop. So we connect this USB to the USB port in laptop. So now we connect to the laptop here. Okay, there we go. So now we simply plug it in, and now it should be connected and has continued. Okay, so we already plug the USB cable. So now to connect into the router, we need to use one application. For example, I use PuTTY. So the PuTTY application, it used to connect Cisco routers. So we can to connect the Cisco CLI using PuTTY. We can to use connection type like SSH, serial, and like Telnet service. Okay, because we use the console cable and now we use the connection type to serial. Okay, we may got asked how to know the serial line number or COM number. So if you want to know the COM number, we can go to open application, device manager. Make sure the console cable has been plugged to your laptop or PC. And now for this, we open the ports COM and the PT, and you can see in here in USB serial, we can to choose the COM number. So now because this is COM4, we can go to boot again and we use COM4. Now we click open. Okay, now to test it has been connected to the router, we can to just press enter, and there we go, it has been connected. So in the firstly, because this router doesn't have any configuration, so we may got asked, would you like to enter initial configuration dialog? Okay, every time you see this question, we just say no, because if you say yes, they will ask many questions. So you just say no. And because this is on real device, so sometimes this router have there's many process. Okay, there we go. We press return to get started. Okay, so this router it's not like usual, yeah, because it's on real device. Okay, there we go. It has been success to enter the router configuration. Okay, now for this time, we want to make the one surface. Now for what's the first surface that we want to use is Telnet. So to add the surface, we can do simply, we need to enable first to enter the configuration, to enter the privilege mode, and we configure the terminal. And now to add this surface like Telnet and SSH, we need to probably have the username and password before to add this one. So now we need to do is make a username first and password. Okay, this one we need to do is add the username first. So there's two types of the username. We can to use the username. It only can be user mode, which is cannot be accessed to the previous mode. And the second user, we can to use this user and when we log in, it can be also use the privilege mode. Okay, so now the first user, we use the normal user. So now we add username. For the first username, for example, I add TKJ, TKJ. And now for the password, we use the type 5, which is use secret. Now we add the username and password. For example, 1234. Okay, now we are at the first user, and for the second user, we use this user can access to the previous mode. So we add username again, and the second username we add EDN, for example, EDN, and don't forget to add the privilege, and we add level 15, and we add the password type 5, secret, and for the user ID we add password 12345. Okay, so now we add these two username, and to enable the telnet service we can enter again into the. Okay, before we add this service, so make sure we add an IP address first, yeah. So because this interface it still doesn't have like IP address, and now let's add an IP address first. Okay, now we need to do is and go to the interface. So this router has interface fast Ethernet 0 and 1. So now for this session we use fast Ethernet 0. Okay, now we enter the interface fast Ethernet 0/0, and now we add IP address 192.168. Now for this we use 10.1 with subnet mask to /24. And don't forget to enable this interface by using no shutdown command. Okay, it should be enabled. Okay, it's already enabled. Okay, now after we add an IP address into the interface, so now we need to do is add the telnet configuration to make it works. So now we just simply to add the command line vty004. So if using the 4 now is using number 4, that means it can be access telnet for 4 users at the same time. Okay, after line vty, we add the configuration login local, yeah, login local, and we just simply access. Okay, now after we add on configuration, we need to do is set IP address in the end device, or we add the IP address in PC. Okay, to make sure this PC or laptop has been add IP address, we can to go control panel in Windows, yeah, in Windows. We can simply go to control panel application in Windows, and now we go to free network status and tags. Okay, because this is not connected, we need to connect first. Okay, now we need to connect Ethernet cable into router and go to the PC. So now we choose this RG45 Ethernet, and now because last time we configured in port fast Ethernet 0, so now we plug in fast Ethernet 0, and now we plug the other ports into the laptop or PC like this. Okay, now we plug it in. Okay, there we go, it should be connected. And make sure in the router the lights it's lit with like the green color in here. Okay, and now let's continue to add IP. Okay, now let's continue to add IP address. As you can see, it has been shown here, Ethernet connections. And now to add IP address in the laptop, we can simply click the Ethernet and we click the properties. And now because we're using IP version 4, we click the IP protocol version 4. And now we add an IP address because in the router we add the IP address 10.1. So now we use the 10.0. Now don't forget in the PC we're using IP address 192.168.10.2. Okay, we use the subnet mask, and we set the default gateway into the IP interface in the router 10.1. Okay, 10.1. And there we go. Now we click OK to apply the IP address. Okay, as you can see, we add an static IP in here. Okay, now to test the telnet, we can to open the PuTTY application again. Okay, so to test Telnet, we can choose the connection type to Telnet, and we can to use IP address to the IP interface in the router because we're using 10.10.1. Okay, now there we go. Now we close the serial, and now you can see this is the Telnet service and it's connected to the router. So now we simply to log in first using the username that we had before. Okay, now we test the first user is non-privileged user. So now we add TKJ and now we enter the password. And there we go. Now we can log in into the router and this is still in user mode. And when this user trying to the enable, it cannot be enabled. But unless you add a password for accessing privilege mode. Okay, now let's try to exit command to disconnect. And now let's try open putty again. And now we try to test the second user. Okay. Ah, okay, 10.1. Okay, more connection. Oh, we forgot to add the connection type. Okay, now we test the second user that it's IDN. Now we test this IDN user, it can be accessed the privilege mode. Okay, there we go. So now we can to use this router using the Telnet service, and we can to use the router as usual. We can to like show the configuration, or you can to like show an IP address like this. And now if you want to disconnect, simply just using command exit, and now it's disconnect. Okay, now let's try again back to the serial lines. So now we back again to serial. And now for the next, we want to use this router using the SSH service. So now to change to the SSH service, we can to simply again to enter line VTY again. Line VTY, VTY 0.4. And now we use the command transport input SSH. So if we enter this command, this is will be automatically disable the Telnet service and it's automatically enable the SSH service. And now we use login local again, login local, and we exit. Okay, there we go. We enable the SSH service. And now before we proceed, we need to do is generate the crypto key. So now before we using SSH service, we need to make sure this router is support a crypto. So if you want to know the support or not, we can do show flash. Okay, do show flash. Okay, to make sure this support crypto, this need to check in the file name of this router, and you find the letter K9. So if there's K9, this is support crypto. Okay, now we need to continue again. Now we generate the RSA key. So now we use command crypto key generate RSA. Okay, so before we add this we proceed this configuration. So now we need to do is change the host name, yeah, because they recommend to use host name than router. Okay, now to change the host name, we can to use command by simply use host name, and for example, I want to change to R1. Okay, there you go. The username has been changed, and now let's try the command again, crypto key generate RSA. Okay. Okay, sorry, I forgot again. So before we use this command, we need to do is add an IP domain first. So now we add the IP domain name. Okay, for domain name, we can to use domain name, for example, like tkg.jaya, yeah, for example. This is for IP domain name. Sorry, this was error last time. Okay, now the last thing we need to generate the key. So now we use the command crypto uh, crypto key generate RSA. Okay, we just replace first because I already add before, and now we get asked how many bits in the modules. So now we set to the 1024. Okay, there we go. Now we add the 1024 bits RLS key, and there we go. So the SSH services have been enabled. So now to test this service, we can to open the new putty window, and now we choose the connection type to SSH. Now we enter to the IP address 10.1, and now we get asked to proceed this one, so just click accept, and now we use the username that we add before. So now we want to log into the previous user, like for example IDN, and now we enter the password, and there we go. So as you can see in here, the SSH service it's working fine, and you can be login using SSH. Okay, so this is all the service that we can use in the Cisco routers. Okay, and that's all from me about this session, how to connect router using the two service like Telnet and SSH. And thank you guys for watching my video. Sorry when I have a mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.